Hey everybody, it is your lovable host here, the Advanced Knife Bro. Now, if you're hearing this, sad to say I'm another YouTuber, Instagrammer, TikToker, OnlyFanser who's designed a knife. It's unfortunate, but it's the inevitable path we all follow these days. Now, pretty soon my feed and my videos will all be about my crappy merch and crappy knives and the newest drop, and thanks to all the fans who got in on the last drop. You guys are dope. Oh, kill me. Now, if you haven't seen my dozens of posts about it, let me introduce you to the Stump Lifter here, which is the official Advanced Knife Bro channel knife. This knife came about in 2021 when Timote at Blade HQ reached out to me and asked, would you like to design something for the subscribers? A special edition of an existing knife, a new knife, whatever. Anyway, I tried the special edition, didn't really work out in my brain, so I thought, what about a traditional, a slip joint, a non-locker? Now, I had a company in mind who, not surprisingly, said no to my napkin knife drawing of a caplifter style whaler pattern. I would have said no too, so I get it. But I went back to the napkin and slimmed it down a bit to a large but conventional cigar pattern knife. I'm not really a machinist or a knife maker and never intend to be, but I can kind of draw. I went to art school and film school. I have worked various jobs like retail and mostly audiovisual, and then later informatics. Not sure why I'm trailing off with my resume there, but please hire me. I know what I like in a knife, and I can communicate that to someone who makes knives, and I can draw somewhat legible pictures and give feedback on prototypes. But I do need to rely on a person who has made the thing that I like to know how to put those elements together in a coherent way. Where do you put the notch on the tang for the half stop? Or how do you make a spring the right tension? I don't know. And some people are like, what do you mean by design? That's what I mean. I drew some pictures, took some inspiration from old knife catalogs. Now, while we look at the dimensions of the Stump Lifter, let's talk about getting it made. Now, we went down the USA route for about a year-ish, and there was not a company who had the current bandwidth to make a low-production, somewhat affordable slip joint. I'd say there's about 4 or 5 OEMs in the US who do stuff like that. Most of the big companies, the big brands, they don't really do OEM work, at least on the books. And that's at least what I've been told. I'm hearing, second or third hand information, but you don't really reach out to your Spydercos or Benchmates to make a knife for you under your own name. And to be clear, we did not reach out to those companies either. They don't have the bandwidth right now for anything because, apparently orders are crazy. So when you're getting stuff made, you need to know about things called MOQs, or I believe that's called minimum order quantities, prototyping phases and costs. Does a manufacturer have time to build a knife from scratch, or are you saying, hey, just make a special edition? Each prototype you make is going to cost money, and how many prototypes are you going to make to get the design right? Now, a lot of the best OEMs for knives who can make a knife designer's drawings into a reality and produce them in small quantities are based out of China. We thought about a few places, but we reached out to QSP because I had done some weird videos about their knives, and they make really good stuff, and I kind of don't want to make a weird knife to make a weird video about. And I am aware that QSP does OEM for other people that are not under the QSP brand too. Now, every manufacturer has access to different machines, engineers, materials, and unless you are prototyping these things yourself and sending them, the CAD and the exact specifications, you might have to change some stuff. That's the reality of it. Design elements can be constrained by available manufacturing processes, material access, and engineers. So based off my drawings and many things I emphasize as important over an email, they generated 3 prototypes based upon 3 cover options I wanted. Now, these prototypes were not rough at all. They were pretty much final production quality and a good starting point. Now, if you remember, the Stump Lifter from the original picture was a pretty big knife. So first thing is it's smaller, a little more pocket-friendly to most people. That would have probably been a big, heavy knife, although I did want an aluminum bolster, but they said no on aluminum construction. Now, from these initial Protos, we made some minor changes based upon well-reasoned reply guys. Sometimes they help out, and things I needed improved. We did flip the shield to the more popular orientation. I had drawn on my Proto the knife opened, just kind of like you would hold it in your hand. and oriented the stump upright when the blade was opened. Anyway, that was change 1. We flipped it the other way to make people happy. Change 2, I rounded down the cap lifter near the tang so it would not dig into your palm meat when you're opening your Amazon packages or your graded Pokemon cards from eBay. You have some tender little hands, I get it. Here are my extremely technical drawings and photos of how I needed that changed. Yes, I went to art school. Why do you ask? Change 3, main blade spring was a touch mushy. QSP crisped it up and made the pull a little bit stronger. Change 4, I wanted the pull on the blade to have a better bite from your fingernail so you can pull up with your nail. The original was a little too finished and too rounded. It was beautiful, but it was just, it was just too nice. Now that led to this revised prototype, which they only generated in one color to save on costs. And then from here, we had one final revision. We still had to make that pull a little bit nicer, a little bitier to the fingernail. I don't know how to say that, okay? I approved a blade blank, and it looked good, felt good. And then now we had the production. So it comes down in 3 colors initially. I say initially because we'll probably be doing another run in different colors. Word on the street is these might be popular. I really had no idea when we ordered the quantities years ago, and I was kind of like, people kind of hate me, so I don't really. So I don't know, okay? You can't order 10,000 knives and go, I hope everybody's going to enjoy these at $300 a pop. Like, you don't know. I'm not a brand. I'm just an idiot on the internet who makes videos. We have a blue micarta. They call it blue denim. It looks to me a little more just regular blue. Then we have a smooth bone with a yellow base with heavy orange flecks. Now, originally, these were yellow in the Protos, like more yellow with tiny orange flecks. Now it's like big splotches of orange with a little bit of yellow underneath. It's like a yellow base. Then we have a green bone with dark green flecks. These are smooth bone, and they are natural bone, or, bone. Cow bone, probably. I didn't ask what kind of bone. Hopefully, nothing illegal there. I didn't ask what kind of bone. Hopefully, it's not human bone. Please, stack the cadavers over there. It's a joke, everybody. It's cow bone, okay? I want it to be loud and fun and not look like other knives in your collection. I kind of made these for collectors. I'm past the point of rational knife usage, and now I'm a collector who uses my knives that I have collected. First, the blade. The blade is based upon a classic spear point, common in old slip joints. I like a touch of swedge up top, so, it dresses it up a bit from the boring spear point with just the nick in it. The blade here is 154 cm and a hollow grind. Now, my original thought for the blade was carbon steel, but QSP could not source a similar carbon steel found in stuff like Ontario's or Great Eastern Cutlery, the 1095. The carbon was not one I was familiar with or comfortable with ordering. So carbon was out, and I wanted to go with a reasonable, all-around affordable stainless steel, and 154 cm was chosen. Okay, I made a call. I specifically did not go with M390 or S35 VN or others in the super steel category. M390 in a flat grind is kind of the stock steel in the OEM boutique knives. I guess you'd call this a boutique knife, unfortunately. And I wanted to zag a little bit with the hollow ground, modest but not bottom of the barrel stainless. Trying to keep costs down. The original idea, my pipe dream was like $20 to $70, and obviously that didn't happen. I imagine this pocket knife is going to be opening packages and making pointy sticks and cutting some food occasionally. These are going to be the main tasks for the blade. While the knife is called the Stump Lifter, it should not be used for its literal name. Just putting that out there. Stump because of all the stumps in the channel and the stump chokes. Am I the only channel who talks about stumps as much as I do? And lifter because it's a cap lifter. Now the cap lifter, bottle opener, kind of changed a bit over my first drawing, but the most important thing is it opens bottles well. Can you get drunk? I asked for a video before the Protos were even finished. I'm like, hey man, if it doesn't lift well, how are you going to run your mouth at the office party so you're never invited again? Now the tip of the opener is more of a flathead screwdriver instead of a chisel. It would work well on the wall plates in your not up to code rental that you live in. These are probably from the 70s. Bottle opener is also 154 cm. Now the action. Before the knife was ever made, I was clear about the lifter and blade having a strong pull and a half stop. These are important to me, and I did not listen to the I hate the half stops crowd. I don't think it's a good opinion. In fact, it's not an opinion, it should be a fact that half stops are better. You know the Jack Wolf knives, and own them? I wanted like that or a strong GEC. Now, GEC pulls are different on every model, which is fine and expected, but I noticed Jack Wolf knives have a consistent strong pull off the 4 models I own, so that was important on my knife too. The handle design is a 2-spring with the center spacer integral stainless steel bolster liners. The shield on the show side is also integral. Now, one of the harder things I had to do on this knife was draw lots of stumps to get it to fit within QSB CNC machine requirements and also make it look like it wasn't a total piece of shit. Some people say it looks like a garbage can. Some people say it looks like a coffee mug. So I think I've done my job well. Now here's some back and forth notes about this for interested parties. Here are some of my stump drawings,
Have we thought about making them NFTs?
I could autograph these and auction them off.
Oh my god, I've been hacked. Someone stole my beautiful stumps.
Now for the overall handle design, visually I tend to like more curve to a knife and some symmetry. Symmetry. And I know I didn't want any squared visual cues. There's nothing wrong with the squared ones, it's just I prefer the rounded. I rounded the bolsters a bit more too to give them a little more curve. Now the cigar pattern here is a familiar classic design, but of course it's with the modern constructions. It's screwed and not pinned. But I wanted it to look inspired by the classics. Kind of use more, a little bit aged materials. 154 CM's been around a long time. Obviously stainless steel has. I did not go titanium for this reason. I like the polished, and as you use them, the polished bolsters get scratched, and so does the back spacer. Obviously, the springs on the blade are flush in all 3 positions. Open, half stop, and closed. And so are they on the bottle opener in the open, half stop, and closed position. Anyway, obviously I chose unique colors for the 3 cover options. Now, functionally speaking, the knife is a bit chunky, but in line with Swiss Army knives or electrician's knives. In fact, I have some traditionals that are just a stick too. Now, there was a man on my feed who said it was comically large, lol, which I don't understand if he understood what the word comically means. It generally means outrageous and not in line with other similar things. But no, it's not thin, and if you ever carried a Swiss Army knife, it's about the same, and if you don't like how fat it is, don't buy it, okay? But what about selling you some more shit? People have asked me about slips, and I have 2 makers lined up, and these guys will get whatever they make out of them. There's no Advanced Knife Bro cut here. Now, they have been more than generous over the years, and I thought I'd reach out to them in the leather making world. Leather slips are going to be made in 2 places, well, mainly 1 place. The other place already has an existing option. Now, first, Foolish Pride Leatherworks. I sent Matt over the first prototype in yellow, and he made a pattern to fit it. Now, I revised my logo like a 10th time, and so he could stamp it on the slip. He made a stamp for it, and he put it on a slip, and he put it on some keychains too. Now, these will be made to order in a few options, and you will order directly from Matt. And there is a holidays thing you got to contend with, and he is making them to order. So please be aware of that they are not going to come immediately. It's not Amazon. Anyway, so you're supporting a local California leather maker making some handmade slips. I think Matt estimated these would be about $25 plus shipping, and they are designed to protect your knife in your bag or in your pocket with your Tums and your, what else do you have in there? Paper clips? Keys. Anyway, here's an introduction for Matt. Here's Matt. Meet Matt.
Hey, what's up, Advanced Knife Nation? My name is Matt, and I run Foolish Pride Leathercraft. And I'm super excited to partner up with the most advanced knife bro that I'm aware of by providing some premium quality hand-stitched leather slips for the new Stump Lifter that'll probably be out by the time you see this video. So, if you're interested in seeing a little bit of the process, then I guess just don't click off the video because we're about to do just that.
Anyway, thanks, Matt. He also makes other leather goods. Like he made my wallet. He can make yours too. Please follow him on Instagram. And let's pivot to the other option, the clip slip from theclipslip.com. Now these are made in Germany and are about $60 or a little more depending on options. These are a little more expensive. It is a $120 knife, so I don't know what people are comfortable with, but these are amazing too. The big boy, linked below the video, is the one I bought and the one that fits it. Now the standard small is a little too small. This knife is a big boy. You need the big boy. I'm a big boy, I like a big knife. Anyway, those guys are making them to order, so be kind to them and give them your business if you'd like a leather slip for it, or you can do whatever you want. I don't care. The packaging was kind of an overall collaboration and inspiration from Repo Man. It's supposed to look generic, and you know, Theo helped me out. I'm supposed to say his name or not, but anyway, there is a spelling error on there that went through about 7 people looking at it and never catching it, and I didn't catch it, and that's what it's going to be. So it's going to encourage recycling if you are a certain type of collector, and I would prefer you not to keep the packaging. I'd like you to use your pocket knives. So keep them in a little drawer. Comparisons. First, the Stump Lifter, which retails for about $120. Well, it is $120. I am extremely happy with how these turned out. QSP did a phenomenal job, and Blade HQ was extremely wonderful to work with. Now, I had a knife made that I would like to own. Now, I like multi-tools and cigar patterns like this. Great Eastern Cutlery's 35 is a favorite. You can see that they were also inspired by some of the classics. You look through classic knife catalogs, you see a lot of Great Eastern Cutlery patterns. That's where they come from. Companies that no longer exist, and some companies that do exist but don't quite make knives like they used to. Let's look at a few from the top down here. Here's some of the collection. There's some other Spearish point profiles. I have an old Camp King here without the swedge and an electrician's knife without it. But there's that other electrician's knife I showed earlier that has it. And I like the addition of the swedge up top. Now, there's a book I had called Knives and Razors and features some old Remingtons on it with some of their scout knives, which the GECs pay homage to in their 35s, and I love it. And there's this old Robeson, which Stump Lifter blade profile resembles here. You know, again, I'm just showing you it's an old popular blade shape. You can kind of see it in a case here, and there's this little Winchester here. You know, I'm extremely grateful that Great Eastern Cutlery pulls inspiration from these old patterns and keeps the carbon steel and pin construction alive. You know, QSP did not want to do pin construction, and that's fine. I have not fully disassembled the knife because I'm not a knife disassembler. I don't make content based upon knife disassembly. You know, I would encourage you not to take it apart, but I can't control what you do. But back then, you know, there are dozens of companies in the mid-1900s all turning out pattern after pattern, and search of eBay and flipping through old catalogs, it's enjoyable to me. Now, my original design had a more milled out pole akin to the HEA Designs Falcon here, which would have also been cool. There's a few other knives that do it, but this is the one that I own, and I kind of like a milled out pole. It's kind of clean, it kind of looks nice. These are extremely different knives from what you see in a traditional, but it is a slip joint. And Sam from HEA Designs pulled off a lot of cool little details here. You can't get these anymore. So when I made a video, I was like, these are limited, and you know, everybody actually did buy them, and they're all gone now. Hollow grind on the swedges on the little Warncliffe. It's just beautiful. If you missed out, sorry. Now here it is next to the Lion Steel and Collector's knives. Beerlow, Stump Lifter has a touch less of a fat tip than the Beerlow or the 35. Like on the blade, it's a little more teardrop. It's not really a teardrop, but it bellies out up there. They have a front heavy belly. The Beerlow's wonderful too, and you know, it's a little bit of an inspiration. I got my my CKO one, the Shuffler, a while back, and that's a good one too. Got a little straighter bolsters here. It's you know, this one's a classic take on dual bladed Barlows. You know, of course, one being a cap lifter, and then we can't leave out the classic Swiss Army knife. I know the Stump Lifter doesn't do as much with the space as a Swiss Army knife, and for that I apologize. I'm pretty sure that was a comment under one of my videos.
Well, Swiss Army knife can at least it's an excuse.
Yeah, and the Stump Lifter doesn't even have a corkscrew. I get it, it's less functional. Of course, if we had that, we'd have to call it the stump screwer. You know what they say about the rule of stumps is you get caught screwing a stump one time, and guess what you're known as? The Advanced Knife Bro. And here's the Ohio River Jack, also made by QSP. The pull here, is this the QSP pull? I see it on a few QSP knives. It shows up on the Hedgehog, I believe, as in a more elongated version. These are about 120 as well. M390 titanium, a little more premium materials, and these are C Risners only. I've done a video about this one. Wrapping it up. Now these are Blade HQ exclusives. If we're going by wish lists alone for the signups, these should sell out quickly. Now, to be prudent on a first run, you shouldn't be massive. What if people hate it? I don't want these to sit around unsold. A lot of people right now are struggling to move knives, and this is basically for hardcore channel fans first and foremost. I have about 300 comments for her video, and I figured you have the people that like to say stuff, and then you have the people who just like to watch. There's not a precise formula. Now, more runs, again, I said are planned of different colors if these sell well and people love them once they get them. Maybe we'll do a bottle delete. Maybe we'll make a different knife. I have 2 other knife classic patterns, drawings of them done that I may tweak a little bit more and then see what Blade HQ says. Anyway, if people don't love them, if there is not interest anymore, then it was a great learning experience, and I hope people who got them like them. I hope you wind up using it. No one really honestly, I feel like same amount of people watch the channel now as they did like 6 years ago. So I don't expect these to ever be worth any money. Hopefully they will become cool additions to your collection. And I'm sorry if this video has been long, but I kind of wanted to encompass the whole creative process and why I made choices I did. You can call it a creative process if that's what you want, and shed light on how things like this get made. Now that I've done this, I do have a greater appreciation for the knife making process. Now, contrary to what a reply guy is going to tell you, there doesn't seem to be a lot of money in knife designing or knife making. I have designed a knife, I have not made a knife. Initially I had a pipe dream of about $50 to $60, but this is a small run knife, and it's not like it dropped off the digital files for anyone to plug into their machine. I was afforded a great opportunity when Blade HQ asked me if I wanted to collaborate with them on something for fans of the channel. Now, I'm not a knife designer, and I do not base my income off of knives, so we can keep the price kind of low. I've seen other people over the years complain about the $200 to $500 for an OEM knife. I get it. I get the complaint, because especially the big companies are charging that too. But the reality is there are other things built into the price of that pocket knife. Like, who's going to pay for the next run? What do I pay to market this? What are the prototype fees? Is it a maker who also makes customs? For those, some of that money is going to go into gear to make those customs. You need your own equipment. And of course, you have to make money. You gotta pay for your house. You gotta pay for your rent. And the entire time I've been doing YouTube, I've always had a job that I don't have to rely on YouTube as a reliable form of income. And knife making is a whole other thing too. That's hard work, and it's not easy to make it on your own. There are a lot of knives out there these days. And the fact of the matter is I'm not really that good of a knife designer. All I've done is remixed a few old patterns, and a few people seem to respond well to it. But typically, when you have a knife made like this, you pay for your prototype fees, and you got to pay for the whole run up front. How big is your run going to be? How much are those individual units? How many protos are you going to have made? Are you going to have a bunch of them to get it right? And then you got to have the knives made. Typically more runs, I think about the lowest runs you can get are about 600 if you want somebody to OEM for you. Maybe there's some companies, if you pay a lot more, you could get less than that. But my experience now has been that, maybe $120 is too much for some people. I mean, I get it. Will anyone like it? Will the reviewers hate it? Will there be quality issues in the run after the protos have been dropped? And then there are the small amount of people out there who hate everything you do and want you to fail. You will not be able to please everybody. It is not possible. It would be an understatement for me to say that I've been nervous and very excited about this whole process and the eventual release, which I didn't think was going to happen for quite some time. And let's be honest, it's a small blip in the knife and EDC world that many others in this community will not even know is happening. It's important to me, and I think people who follow me are really excited about it. But it is what it is. So, and also thanks to the patrons making this whole thing possible. If you are a patron and have not seen my current post over on Patreon, please make sure you do regarding the Stump Lifter. There's been a few dates discussed, but currently right now, and I will paste updates on my Instagram feed, and maybe I'll do a community post here and over on Patreon. But tentatively, Blade HQ is going to release these knives on the 3rd of January. I hope I get this video done before then. Today is December 21st. Shit. So mark your calendars, everybody. $120. Like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching. Okay, are they gone? Yeah, you know, the squares. What you are about to see, do not attempt, because I am a trained professional, and there are medical professionals, like the medical professionals. I'm a batoning professional. The medical professionals are just outside of frame. You can't see them, but they're there.
Hey man, you sure you want to do this with the slip joint? They don't even lock, man, and it probably ain't legal. It's dangerous, and you ain't even had a single beer.
Yeah, my cousin Brett's, he's going to EMT school. He's a warrior, so you don't listen to him. All right, here we go. Does the Stump Lifter pass the baton test? Does it? Again, do not do this. Okay, I'm a knife designer now. You can't do this anymore. Design was in air quotes. Knife remixer, a pattern remixer is what I am. Okay, we did it, and we need a little treat now, right? We need a little reward. Does it still work? Okay, yeah, it still works. Okay, all right, perfect. All right, let's get a little reward. So make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment. I don't really have access to a bottle, so we're just gonna have to lift the tab lifter. We could call it the tab lifter. How about that? All right, thanks for watching.